So we are coming up to the final hours before YouTube decides to implement its ID verification to determine how old you actually are to watch YouTube, or even implementing it to the point where its creators could suffer the same fate as having to possibly give their ID over, or possibly be gaslighted into giving their ID over because so-and-so is not verified or whatever. Now, if you have not been hearing what's been going on with this whole ID verification thing, or even then exactly the upcoming situation, basically a lot of this whole ID verification thing had basically started in the UK as an online safety act. Basically, so-and-so protecting kids, when in reality, it's basically just a way to get your ID on websites such as even as something like Wikipedia and Spotify. It's gotten to a point to where basically tons of creators have been talking about it, and probably the biggest creator we've seen is Moist Critical talking about this whole situation, but ever since a couple days ago, he hasn't talked about it. So one of the bigger channels which I've seen, or one of the channels who's been more prominent about talking about this, is Deep Humor, which has been talking about this constantly and has actually experienced things where literally some creators have already started seeing this ID verification thing coming up, where basically the channel history would suddenly just disappear because of so-and-so guidelines that had been disappearing, and then had to basically put their ID verification in, or video verification. Now, I do want to say I have video verification enabled as well, so it wouldn't just be a case of basically me having, it would basically be me having not only a channel history but also video verification. Now, sure, if you want to basically validate us from channel history, you can do whatever you want, YouTube. But basically, as soon as you start eliminating video verification and that stuff, it's going to get to a point where people are just going to start boycotting YouTube as it is. My theory is YouTube's going to boycott every single user, every single creator. They're going to get rid of the creator's channel history. They're going to get rid of the video verification, and basically boycott its creators from actually having stuff like monetization, which is the big thing. Monetization is its biggest thing here, is having to be able to go in and have videos and so be monetized. Which, if you're getting rid of stuff like the channel history and video verification, it's not a good thing. In fact, it's boycotting, it's gaslighting creators to basically handing their IDs over, which basically 90% of people are against at the moment. It's going to be a massive shit show for YouTube. Without a doubt, YouTube's just going to go through this massive moment of basically losing viewership, losing a lot of money, which could potentially overturn this policy. But then also for the fact that it could just be a potential of completely sinking creators over time. You talk about big creators not talking about this. I mean, Deep Humor made a video about bigger creators like Markiplier and Jacksepticeye not talking about this. Well, Jacksepticeye talked about it in one tweet, and even then it wasn't even that informative. It was a case of bigger creators are going to suffer the most because they're losing at least half to 70% of their revenue in an instant. Smaller creators like us are probably going to earn nothing when it comes down to possibly earning from YouTube. That's the big thing. It's the biggest thing of potentially YouTubers losing monetization from being gaslight to YouTube to say, oh, we decided that your video verification or your channel history is not validated for us, so you're gonna have to give us your ID. And it's gonna get to a point to where other websites are gonna inform this too. So basically, it's gonna get to a point to where basically the baseline is the internet's gonna get gaslighted into giving your ID over, or basically YouTube is going to gaslight users to giving their IDs over. Arm hurts. Yeah, just suddenly a video that I wanted to make. I'm gonna quickly edit this and then post it as soon as I can. I won't be surprised if there's not a ton of viewership here, but just to know, YouTube is gonna gaslight its creators and its users to giving their IDs over. If it's gonna be a case where people are not gonna give their IDs over, they're gonna eventually make it so YouTube is unusable without an ID. Of course they're gonna make it so oh yeah, we're going to restrict a lot of these features, but then it's going to get to a point to where you cannot, or can possibly not even use YouTube without an ID. That's just my thought process. Sorry about the terrible quality. I just wanted to post this in sudden notice, especially when the policy is supposed to be implemented in a couple of hours. And also, if a case is that YouTube decides to completely get rid of my video verification or channel history, you know what's gonna happen.